welcome to the Unnecessary Gaming Podcast. This is episode 128. This is the final episode made up of content that we recorded back in September of 2021. This is a video games episode, and first up, Euan is doing a games roundup. So that's quite exciting, isn't it? Now, I should warn you, he's going to be talking about Eastward again, so, make your peace with that. But he's also going to be talking about Dragon Quest XI and a few other bits and pieces as well. And then after that, Chris will be telling us all about rodenty Souls-like Tales of Iron. But before all of that, you may have noticed that we're not doing our socials at the end of the episode, so I'm going to take care of that now. We are at UNNC Gaming, so on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, OnlyFans, all the things. We are UNNC Gaming. We have a Gmail address as well, unncgaming@gmail.com. You can send us mail there and I'll probably get back to you within a month because I don't check it very often. But if you really want to get in contact with us, we have a Discord. And you can find us using the search function in Discord itself. Just search for Unnecessary Gaming. Or you can go to discord.me/, you guessed it, UNNC Gaming. So there we go. Alright, so let's get started with Euan's Games Roundup. And as I had a little theme for my Games Roundup, it's only fair that Euan has one as well. So here it is. Enjoy.
So to cap off my fairly unfocused and rambly talk about Eastbound, or Eastward, not Eastbound. Eastbound and Down, that's what I'm thinking
Eastbound and Down. Fan trucking.
Yeah,
there's a reference
Eastward.
That nobody who listens to this podcast is going to get.
That's fine, we're full of that stuff. What, you think people are going to know what I was talking about with sports scene? So I finished, not long after my sort of slightly rambly review, I finished Eastward. I still really like it. I do have a couple issues with the way the story's presented. There's certain things which just aren't well explained at all in what should be a fairly straightforward story. But it doesn't really detract that much from the game because I think you're so invested in all the characters, you kind of know what's going on enough, or you can fill in the blanks yourself. And it builds up to this big climax that it's a really challenging final boss with several stages and a lot of running around and another frying pan upgrade, so I was happy about that. I was expecting there maybe be kind of like a new game plus thing, but it's pretty much not. The story's told. We're going back, you can just start again if you want. I'd really like them to see him do a sequel or just take on their game, the studio. But the thing I found out and looking it up, the Eastward's been in development since 2015, so it's taken them a wee while to get this together. So I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed all of the kind of very obvious influences that have gone into it, from like your sort of old school Zelda games, your Dragon Quest, like RPG sort of games, and little things like Studio Ghibli. I'd forgotten, and I didn't mention this in my previous talk about it, but there is a guy, there's like an NPC in one of the towns called Miyazaki, and he's a spitting image of Hayao Miyazaki. I can never pronounce his name, even though I speak Japanese. Hayao Miyazaki.
Beat me to that.
I know. I should be aware of these things. But yeah, I really enjoyed Eastward. I'd highly recommend it if you've got the time to play it on PC or if you've got a Switch. And to kind of blow off a bit of steam after that, I picked up. I've had the Switch has this thing where you can pay an online subscription. They're going to they're adding now N64 games into it, but previously you could play NES and SNES games. And for a while I was going, why would I want to do this? Go back and play games that I already rinsed when I was 10. There doesn't seem much point in it. But after playing Eastward, I felt like I wanted some real gameplay. So I went in and I started playing the old Super Mario games, Donkey Kong Country. Oh. I want to lay it down now. Donkey Kong Country on the SNES was the daddy of all the platform games that was going on there. The first game I ever really properly played was Super Mario World on the SNES. And to think that a few years later, it just got blown out the water. Because Super Mario World's fine. And I absolutely rinsed it. But it's not any better than Super Mario 2 or 3, which I think are both excellent games. I know a lot of people have their opinions about 2. I think it's weird. You chuck radishes at stuff. And
it is weird.
It's a weird little game.
There's a whole story behind that.
Yeah, I won't get into it.
It wasn't supposed to be a Mario game, no, that's why.
But it works. It's a fun little game. I even had a wee crack at that. I was like, yeah, this is hard, but I enjoyed it. But Donkey Kong Country, with its weird sort of, I don't really know how they got those kind of 3D graphics, or this. It was like a matte thing and it had lovely, like the best sound, the best music in any of those games. I defy you not to be relaxed by listening to a 10-hour mix of the underwater music on YouTube from Donkey Kong Country. But after all that,
ASMR videos.
Basically, yeah. If you want to, you could do some ASMR over that ambient music. It'd be lovely. No one would be able to stay awake. But after all that excitement of real, solid, repetitive strain injury inducing gameplay, I decided I wanted to play something that required absolutely no skill whatsoever. So I've returned to my old favourite, the Dragon Quest series. I've finally got round to playing Dragon Quest XI. Or to give it its full title, and I've got it here, Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age, Definitive Edition S. Which I guess
now
that's...
in Japanese, please.
Presumably. Dragon Quest. Echoes of an Elusive Age. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is. Yeah, it's a good one. I previously tried to start Dragon Quest XI after getting it a couple of times, and I found myself I just couldn't be arsed with it. It's got the most generic kind of... there's nothing going on with the intro, the first, probably half hour of the game. And I'd advise anyone picking up this game that just wants to play a Dragon Quest game, just see for the first few hours of the game, just go to the story, go where it's telling you to go. Don't piss about. Because you will just get bored. Just follow the story and get things going. And once it does, it's great. It picks up. But it's almost like taking the piss out of itself at the start, of what a Dragon Quest game is at the start. You're in this little town, and you perform the rite of you're becoming a man, and you go up this hill and you come back down, and then you have some glowing.
Is that all it takes?
That's basically it, yeah. Because you're in a primitive little village. They're just farming folk. They don't,
simple farming.
Simple farming folk. So they turn around to you and they go, and the best thing about this is, of course, that following on from, I'm gonna probably compare this to Dragon Quest VIII a lot, because really this is kind of the only other Dragon Quest game that is in the format where it's on a big console, it has voice acting, it's in a sort of 3D world. And this has followed the tradition that Dragon Quest VIII set of getting great regional voice actors. So initially you go back to your wee village and they go, oh, it turns out you're the reincarnation of the Luminary, and you should go to the big castle up the way and go and find out what's going on with that. So you do, and it all kind of your expectations are slightly subverted at that point, and you meet your first sort of team character. Because I'll say this, out of any RPG game, this has got to be the guy. You can see him on the front cover there. I don't know if you can see him very well.
Oh yeah,
the most generic and just uncharismatic character. I mean, I know that you're silent protagonists in these Dragon Quest games, so it takes a lot away from him. But I think even if you gave this guy a voice, he would still be boring. There's just nothing about him. Like Dragon Quest VIII had a silent protagonist, and he was visually interesting. He had a bit of personality, a bit of expressiveness. There is they just have cheaped out on like facial animations or something for this guy. There's nothing to him. So when you do finally meet your first party member, this guy Eric, who's like a classic rogue thief sort of character, with this amazing kind of transatlantic 70s prog rock accent where you can't work out if he's American or English. He sort of grabbed the reins and you start really.
Are you going to do all the characters?
I don't think I could possibly do Eric. I might come back and do Eric at a later date because I think there's a lot going on. But he's kind of like this, with this sometimes American, and then I can't even do it because it shifts so. It's almost like
I think we were getting somewhere. It drifted a bit into Australian there. But.
Yeah, it's just like a sine wave of an accent,
kind of like Tony Blackburn.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's the Tony. Yeah, it's Tony Black. Not full on Tony Blackburn, but not like that. But dial it back a little bit and inject a little bit more American into it, and you've kind of got what Eric's all about. And then from that point, it kicks off from there, and the story kind of ramps up, and you're spending a lot of time with Eric, and you get to like all the characters in this. You meet a couple of sisters who join you there, and they're basically your mages. One's a healing one, one's your sort of offensive magic one, and she's the more feisty character. The healing one's like, again, slightly boring. But it almost works with her because it's like
this feels a bit tropey, Euan.
Yeah, it is a bit tropey. Well, of course, then you meet your next character who is this out and out gay man, Silvando, who is sort of you meet as a clown in a church, and he's got this Spanish accent. He's oh hello darlings, I love you all so much, and he's just ridiculous. You immediately want him in your party. And then you meet the final two characters, and you're going to love this. So. I mentioned with Dragon Quest VIII, it's probably the only game I've ever played that has a Welsh accent in it.
Yeah.
One of your characters you pick up is the old king, who he's got a bit of backstory to explain to you, and he's got a full-on Glaswegian accent. Oh. And he's this little old man, and he's Rab. He's actually called Rab, and he goes.
Is he called Rab?
He's called Rab. He's an ex-king. He's called Rab. He goes, Sonny, you're the reincarnation of the luminary. And he is voiced by, and I've written it down, sorry, I've lost it here. I've written it down. He's actually voiced by, because in Dragon Quest VIII, you had a character who was a sort of Cockney thief, rogue sort of character who was voiced by Ricky Grover, who was a stand-up comedian, played a sort of bouncer character called Bula. This one, Rab, is played by Alex Norton, who played DCI Matt Burke in Taggart.
Ah.
So they've really gone. Apparently, he's a big deal in Japan off the back of this. So, the main thing I would say is Dragon Quest XI. Get into the story, just fire into it, and play it on the Western region dubs. Like, don't be playing it in Japanese. There's no point to that. You could play any number of JRPGs in Japanese, and they'd be fine. You want to be listening to the mad regional accents.
I think like the only other game you're saying it's like a Welsh character, is that Dragon Quest VIII?
Yeah, there's like a stonemason that you meet.
Did you ever play Nino Kuni?
Yes.
The English dub version of that, Mr. Drippy was the most Welsh character I've ever heard.
Well, I think because Nino Kuni was it was a joint project between the Studio Ghibli folk and the folk that made the Dragon Quest games, so I'm assuming a lot of.
Maybe there's a crossover. Maybe it's the same voice actor. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a few. If they've got a Welsh guy on the books, they could. They could probably just keep getting him back. But they're not going to get Anthony Hopkins.
That would be good, though.
Well, you're not king yet.
King Rab and Anthony Hopkins.
Honestly, I really hope that this is the future of because that's the thing. This is Dragon Quest XI. You're going back to 8 was the last time they did this thing on a main console. It was PS2. Apparently 12 is getting made, and I hope that they keep the thing. Like, I don't think they're going to do any more main series ones on the DS or do these 2D ones. I hope not, anyway. I like these big, expansive games. It's a nice world to visit. It's, it's got all the harsh edges rubbed off. It's just a nice place to go and spend a few hours every so often. So yeah, Dragon Quest 11. There is also an option to play this in 2D. I don't know why you would use it, but there you go.
That's the thing about these games, right? I mean, it's definitely the characters that make these RPGs what they are.
Yeah.
Like, and it was just because we were talking about Welsh characters there, and it made me think of Wales, which made me think of Shadow Hearts 2.
Ah, Kudelka.
And the disclaimer in Shadow Hearts 2 that said that basically that these places were fictional and don't whatever it is they say it should resemble. And then you can go to Wales.
Well, the first game in that...
Wales is not a fictional place.
No, I suppose.
Despite popular opinion.
But the first game in that series is because it starts with Kudelka, and Kudelka is actually set in a Welsh, like a old cathedral or like an old monastery or something.
But I think like Shadow Hearts and I haven't played Kudelka, so I don't know, I can't speak for that, but Shadow Hearts and Shadow Hearts 2 had some of the like most ridiculous characters in it.
Oh yeah.
Like Shadow Hearts 2 in particular, that wrestler guy, like
I never played much Shadow Hearts 2.
I'm sure he was called Le Papillon or something like that. He was just and he just did like the stupidest moves and stuff. But if all the characters were like, some of them were quite normal, but they were offset by these completely wacky people that were completely out there. But that's what kept you playing Shadow Hearts 2. Like it was just the stupidity of it sometimes. It's the game it had a very serious theme and then like didn't take itself seriously at all. It was like fantastic. More of that, please.
Yeah.
Take note, people.
Yeah. Go weird with these JRPGs. I mean, I know they generally go weird anyway, but push it into some new territory, like Wales.
Yeah.
I want to see a JRPG sort of retelling of Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds' takeover of Wrexham.
Well, we'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Euan.
Aye, well, that was my wee games roundup. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Right, somebody asked me what I've been playing.
What have you been playing, Chris?
Well, I'll tell you what I've not been playing for a while, Euan. It's Salt and Sanctuary.
Ooh.
All right. So Salt and Sanctuary, right? I haven't played it for quite a while. It's one of the best games I've played in the PS4, to be honest. I absolutely loved it. It was a side-scrolling platformer, Souls-like game. Pretty sure I talked about it in the podcast a while ago. It was really difficult. It had a lot of sort of upgrade options, all the things that you would expect from a Souls-like game. And I did finish it. I never went back to actually playing through it as a different type of character because there's all sorts of different classes and stuff that you can pick from. But I saw a few weeks ago a game coming out that looked quite a lot like it. And that's Tales of Iron, which is what I have been playing. It's Tales, it's spelled Tails. And I'll tell you why. It's because you're playing as a rat.
A rat with an iron tail.
It's just a rat. It's just Tales of Iron. It's a pun, Euan. It's I'm not sure if he ever gets an iron tail.
No, not even a brass one.
I'll tell you what. It really encapsulates that old rats versus frogs rivalry. Because this is what the game's about. All right, you're playing as Reggie the rat, who it turns out was actually a real rat. That the developers of this game, I think, a lot of them owned rats, and a lot of the rats in the game are named after their rats. So Reggie was a real rat. And in this, you're playing as Reggie the rat, who is a prince in the Rat Kingdom. Now, Reggie's dad, can't remember his name, but King Rat, was one of the greatest rat kings ever. He managed to fight off all the massive frog invasion after however many centuries of combat or whatever and war, and has finally brought peace to his rat kingdom. And he is picking a successor. And Reggie is the shortest of his brothers, he's the shortest, the least strong, but he has been working hard to prove himself. So, at the start of this game, you're Reggie, and you wake up in the morning and you find yourself going to the arena to prove yourself against your brothers who are much bigger than you, and you do that, and you're basically announced to be the next king. At which point the frogs invade and kill the king and absolutely wreck the entire place. So the frogs are back, and this is the basis of the story of Tales of Iron. You are the new king who is out to rebuild his kingdom. This game, right, visually is fantastic. It's all hand-drawn, a bit like Salt and Sanctuary. Salt and Sanctuary was really good, but Salt and Sanctuary was really gloomy. It was really dark, and it was a much more sort of like Bloodborne in its way. It feels, of course. It's a side-scrolling game. So Tales of Iron, side-scrolling game, just the same idea. It's got that slight Metroidvania feel to it. There's certain things you can't get into, or you can't go through the poison in this area or whatever, and obviously there's a way of unlocking that later. Now, I haven't got to that point in the game yet, I'm going to be honest. I haven't really played a massive amount of it, but I've played enough, I think, to be talking about it now. I have seen this game being described as having sort of Souls-like combat like Salt and Sanctuary did. Does it? Probably not really. The enemies are difficult, but mainly because they hit like a truck, right? The frogs, you're not just fighting frogs, you're fighting grubs, you're fighting what they call mosies in it, who are just like giant insect things. There are also moles, but I haven't seen those yet. I haven't got to that point in the game, but there's definitely moles in the game that you'll be fighting at some point. But all these enemies, even the little ones, kind of like the Souls games, kind of like Bloodborne, kind of like Salt and Sanctuary, they hit you hard. But they don't. What this game doesn't have is souls. There's no souls, or in Salt and Sanctuary it was salt. So there's nothing that you don't lose anything by dying, if you see what I mean. So in the Souls games, you've all played the Souls games, yep?
Yeah.
You lose your souls if you die, and if you don't go back and kill that enemy, that's them gone forever if you die again. In this game, that doesn't exist. So that aspect of the whole Souls thing isn't there. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, that's a matter of opinion. Me personally, I quite like the risk and reward that you would get from, choosing to fight on, choosing to get as much salt or souls as you possibly can. In this game, it's not there. But what it does give you is equipment overload. So there's a lot of equipment in this game. I mean, I have, like I say, I think I might be a third of the way through the game. I've already got pages and pages of equipment that I'm never going to look at again. It's quite a lot of the time you're getting equipment, you're just finding it, you're killing enemies and they're dropping them. When you eventually rescue your blacksmith rat brother from the frogs and get him back, he can then make weapons and armor and stuff like that for you. But a lot of it, it's just like, it just feels like that there's certain options that you would just go, well, I'm not using that. Now, there is certain reasons why you would use one suit of armor over another, and it's because they have resistances to specific types of enemies. So frog resistance, it might have mosey resistance, grub resistance, that kind of thing, but it's only really the armor itself that does that. So the helmets, they don't have that. The weapons, your choices between weapons really just depend on how fast you want to attack and how hard you want to hit with each attack. So like spears are fast but don't do a lot of damage, axes are slow but do a lot of damage, swords are in the middle, and really that's your sort of options. You also get a bow and arrow and things like that. I like it. I do like it. I am enjoying it. It's kind of scratching a little itch for me. Now, it's not Salt and Sanctuary, okay? That game was something else for me. It's not got that depth to it that Salt and Sanctuary's got, but it's really charming. It's just a really sort of charming game about rats and frogs.
Yeah.
I would love to see the rats be more rat-like. I'm going to be honest. They're just kind of running about bipedal, just running about like little humans.
You want to see them scurry?
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? I wrote this down in my notes.
Not enough scurrying.
Scurrying, yes. There's not enough scurrying for my liking, right? I want to see these rats do some. I would love it if the rat was sprinting, if Reggie was sprinting along somewhere, if he just got down on all fours and sprinted. I would like to see that, but it's not in this, and that's one of the downsides for me. I think that's a trick that they've missed.
Well, it's maybe a niche for gaming that's not really been. The only good scurrying I can think of is the two very brief sections in Dragon Quest VIII where you play as a hamster, and they're not long.
I missed that one. Yeah, so scurrying would have made this game. Scurry would have made this game given it a higher rating for me. I'm tempted to say, right, that this is Salt and Sanctuary for younger folk. So for the kids, if you see what I mean. I mean, it's not massively violent, this game, but I mean, bear in mind you are stabbing and spearing frogs and things like that. But I just feel like it's kind of like a junior version of Salt and Sanctuary, if you see what I mean. If you take away all the stabby, swordy bits. But yeah, I'm quite enjoying and playing through it at the moment. The story's quite charming as well. Just the whole, you're now basically rebuilding that rat kingdom from scratch almost. You're having to go out and help people. There's little quests that you do that will give you currency and things that then help you to rebuild things back at your castle. And yeah, it's fun. I'm quite enjoying it at the moment. So I'll see where it goes. I get the feeling it's not going to be a long game, but I think there'll be wee bits to explore, things that I'll never see again. So things that I'll never see if I don't go looking for them is what I mean. Yep, scratching an itch. Quite enjoying it. Tales of Iron.
Oh,
did I see in this game, do you have allies?
Yes, you do. Well, you have little people that will sometimes join you. So there's a ranger called Robin who sometimes will join you in little quests if he just happens to be there at the time. It seems to be preset though, so he'll just run around shooting arrows at things, and that does help. I mean, he's actually useful. He's not just a person that just runs around behind you and does nothing. He actually stands there shooting his bow. Yeah, so I think I know what you mean though, Dave, because I saw a video for this and I thought, is this game multiplayer?
Initially I thought that, and I went and looked it up and saw that it wasn't. And then I kind of assumed it was a mechanic of the game where you could maybe switch players or have like a little squad behind you that you could configure and, you know, build in the way that you choose. But it sounds like that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing. When I looked at it, I was like, I really do hope that this game is multiplayer, because that would be quite fun to play a game like this with somebody else. But it turns out it's not. I think I did see the mods, the creators of the game, just basically talking about maybe adding a multiplayer thing because a lot of people were requesting it.
Is there an evil badger?
I haven't seen an evil badger. Have you seen an evil badger in a video?
Just going by the sort of Wind of the Willows type thing.
All right.
Well, I don't think Badger was ever meant to be evil.
No, he was a friendly badger in Wind of the Willows. You know, they could flip it around. Just play with your expectations.
There's definitely a lot of evil frogs, I'll tell you that.
Is there a nice sort of variety in the enemies that you fight?
It's an interesting question. So within the enemies, there's enough variety to keep you on your toes. And every so often there'll be a new enemy just sort of trots in that you'll be like, oh, I've not seen this guy before. And you kind of have to, like, it does have that kind of Souls-like thing where you're fighting a specific enemy, you have to learn how they're going to fight you. Because you may have to dodge, you may have to block. Because sometimes one doesn't work and the other doesn't work in certain situations. So there's enough variety that way, I would say, yeah. Right, okay, that's, let's say, Tales of Iron. It's a lot of fun.
You and your Eastward thing was so long, I didn't have time to ask you guys what your favourite cardinal direction was.
Well, you can ask us now.
Hey guys, on the topic of Eastward, what is your favourite cardinal direction?
Well, East. It's always been East. You know, that's probably why I got the game.
Just whatever way he's waving his hand, really.
Nah, I think for me it's south.
Really?
Why is that?
Why? My life's been going.
I don't like east and west. I always get them mixed up.
My life's been going south for so long. I'm like, I may as well just keep going. Keep going for long enough. Come back out the other side.
It's a good job we don't record these in my living room anymore, because I feel like I might have to give you a hug.
Welcome to the end of the podcast. This is the place to be for outtakes, in-jokes, and generally like all the exclusive content. But you guys already knew that because that's why you're still listening after the ending music is played. So I have some exclusive news for you. The Retro Games Book Club is coming back. We are incredibly excited about this. And the game that we're going to be playing is Draken on the SNES. That is DRAKKHEN. So if you want to play along with us, get yourself a copy and get playing. Now, I'm going to let people know about this on the Discord at some point, but I'll deliberately do it too late, like a few days before the episode comes out, so that they won't have time to play it like you will. So, yeah. See you later.